The dumpster behind the dusty cork smelled of old wine and soured Cabernet. Inside, nestled between crushed Chardonnay boxes, lay a trembling ball of ash-gray fur. The kitten didn't mew, it couldn't. Its world had been silent from birth. Only its wide-open eyes, like 2 drops of molten honey, reflected the narrow strip of neon light bleeding through the lid. Each gust of wind forced it deeper against the cold metal wall, its tiny paws shaking so badly they barely touched the rusted floor. Time stretched like thick molasses. It smelled the world, musty wood, a ghost of cherry ice cream, the acrid smoke of a cigarette butt. But the sharpest scent was its own fear. Its heart hammered against its ribs, a tiny bird trying to escape to somewhere warm and bright. Eleanor walked out of the shop clutching a box with the last 3 bottles of Bordeaux, 98, a reminder of the man who had promised to share them with her but never returned. The door clicked shut behind her, cutting off the warm light for good. She felt for the keys in the pocket of her old cashmere coat. Something made her stop by the dumpster, an invisible thread pulling at her sleeve. Eleanor never believed in signs, but tonight, with the only plan she'd ever had sold along with her house, she listened to the silence. And then she saw it, 2 tiny lanterns glowing between the folds of cardboard. She leaned closer. Her own heart clenched from exhaustion, from pity, from the sudden, sharp realization that something in this world was even more lost than she was. "Are you looking for a way out, too?" she whispered, not expecting an answer. She reached out her hand. The kitten flinched, then, feeling the warmth from her palm, hesitantly stretched forward. The metal of the dumpster chimed softly as she gently scooped it up, pressing the small body to her chest. It trembled, but not from the cold anymore. Eleanor felt its tiny claws hook into her sweater, clinging as if to life itself. "Come on," she said, walking toward the white U-Haul van, its license plates still strangers to the road home. "We've got all night to figure out where to go next." Behind them, the dumpster lid slammed shut, closing a door on the past. The U-Haul hummed, a low thrum against the vast desert silence. Eleanor held the wheel with her left hand. Her right was pressed to her chest, where the kitten slept tucked inside her sweater. Its breathing was shallow, catching every so often, as if afraid the steady beat of the engine's heart might stop. She didn't know where to go. The GPS sat silent, its screen glowing, "Enter destination." Destination. A word that hadn't existed in her life for 2 days. She took the first exit she saw, a sign reading, "Rest area 2 miles." The parking lot was empty, save for a lone semi-truck and a single lamppost spilling a yellow puddle of light onto the asphalt. Eleanor opened the van door. The kitten startled, its claws tightening. "It's okay," she whispered, feeling its body tremble. "I'm scared too, but we're together." She pulled an old terry cloth towel from the glove box and made a makeshift nest on the passenger seat. The kitten curled into a ball but kept its eyes open, huge and questioning. "You're not going to leave me, are you?" Eleanor opened the back of the van. In the dim light, she saw the remnants of her 42 years packed in cardboard, a stack of old postcards, a box of photographs, 3 empty picture frames. She found a small plastic container with leftover chicken soup from a highway diner and warmed it on her portable stove. The scent filled the small space like a warm fog. The kitten's head lifted, its nose twitching. It started to eat, gulping so fast it seemed to sob, terrified the food would be taken away. "Slow down, little one. We have all the time in the world." While it ate, Eleanor stepped outside. The wind tugged at her graying hair. She pulled out a worn leather notebook, and on the last blank page she wrote, "July 14, 2:47 a.m., a small, deaf kitten. No name, no home, but not alone." She closed the book. Back in the van, the kitten, full and content, had climbed onto her lap. Its breathing was even now. She gently stroked its head and felt a tiny, crescent-shaped birthmark on its forehead. "Luna," she said aloud. "It fits." The kitten couldn't hear the word, but it felt the vibration and snuggled closer. Eleanor switched on the headlights. Highway 62 stretched ahead, leading everywhere and nowhere. For the first time in a long time, nowhere didn't feel empty. An hour later, they pulled into a 24-hour Walmart. Eleanor bought a small litter box, a bag of litter, a soft fleece blanket printed with a starry sky, a can of kitten food, and a thermos of hot chocolate for the road. Back in the van, she set up the litter box. Luna immediately understood what it was for, and Eleanor felt a strange surge of pride. She wrapped them both in the new blanket and turned on the radio. A calm voice announced the weather down south, sunny and warm, highs in the mid-80s. Eleanor smiled. "South it is, then," she said. "It's warm there." Highway 62. The van shuddered violently. A deafening clank from beneath, a flash of red on the dashboard. The engine sputtered, coughed, and died. Silence crashed down, broken only by the ticking of cooling metal. Eleanor was out of the van in a second. Her phone's flashlight revealed a dark, spreading pool of oil on the asphalt. Black tears from a dying machine. Luna jumped out after her, her tiny paws tentative on the ground. Then she froze, her head cocked. The kitten darted toward a clump of dried creosote bushes. "Luna, come back!" Eleanor cried, chasing after her. She found Luna standing over a second bundle of fur huddled in a cardboard box. Another cat, a scruffy tabby, its tail wrapped in a grimy strip of medical gauze. It just stared, its green eyes wide and silent, just like Luna's had been. It wasn't a breakdown, it was a stop. Eleanor retrieved the star-printed blanket and spread it on the ground. She opened the last can of food, dividing it between the two. They ate side by side, as if checking to make sure the other was real. No cell service, of course, but in her pocket was a business card a kid at a gas station had given her. "Big Mike's Garage and Tow, 24/7. We rescue anyone," a gruff voice answered on the third ring. "Mike's. My van died. On the 62, and I have 2 cats." There was a pause, then a gravelly chuckle. "2, huh? Be there in 20. Don't touch a thing." 17 minutes later, a tow truck's headlights cut through the darkness. Big Mike was a giant of a man in greasy overalls. He surveyed the van, then the 2 cats on the blanket. "Well, I'll be," he said, his eyes kind. "Brought coffee and a couple of carriers." He pulled 2 bright green plastic crates from his cab. "Wife's a vet. She says you always gotta be prepared for a miracle in the desert." He looked under the hood. "Oil pump shot, but I think I got one back at the garage." Mike glanced at the cats, where Luna was now rubbing against his boot. "Don't you worry about payment. My wife's been missing having patients." He paused. "And you look like you're missing a home." "I don't have one," Eleanor whispered. "Then we'll find you one tomorrow. For now, there's coffee." As the tow truck pulled away, Eleanor looked back at her van, standing alone under the moon. In the truck's cab, Johnny Cash was singing on the radio. Luna was on her lap, and the new cat, the desert cat, was curled up on Mike's. "You know," Mike said, "my wife always says when you find a woman and 2 cats stranded in the desert, it just means someone found a new family." Big Mike's garage was actually the Cactus Bloom, a faded motor court with a porch swing. As they pulled in, a woman with kind eyes and gray-streaked hair walked out. Linda, Mike's wife. "Welcome home," she said, and it sounded less like a greeting and more like a fact. She led them to room 5. A quilt on the bed read, "Home is where the cat is." On the windowsill sat 2 ceramic bowls and a fresh litter box. Luna and the new cat, whom Eleanor had named Desert, jumped onto the bed as if they'd lived there forever. "This is for us?" Eleanor asked, hesitating at the door. "For as long as you need to figure out your next," Linda said with a smile. "We own the land behind the motel. It's just sand, but there's a barn. Folks stop by sometimes, take pictures. You could turn it into something." The next day, Mike fixed the van. Linda showed Eleanor a back room filled with fabric scraps and a sewing machine. "I make toys for shelters," she said. "You're welcome to try." A week later, the motel reopened. Eleanor made a new sign, the Moon and Desert Rescue Motel. Tourists, bikers, and families started stopping by. Eleanor would greet them, an apron with a crescent moon embroidered on it tied around her waist, with Luna and Desert at her feet. "This is Luna," she'd say. "She can't hear, but she listens with her heart. This is Desert. She was lost, but now she's a guide. And I'm Eleanor. I thought I'd lost my home until I realized home isn't a place with four walls. It's the warmth of who you hold close. By the end of the summer, their family had grown to include 2 stray dogs and a parrot who only whispered, "Drive safe." The old barn became the house of little miracles, with a sign on the door, "Entry is free. Exit is only with a friend." One evening, Eleanor sat on the porch, watching the sky fade from pink to indigo. Luna hopped onto her lap, and Desert curled up at her feet. She looked at her old U-Haul, now a permanent photo op for guests. On the steering wheel still hung the tag she'd made that first night, Luna's first ride. She took a marker and added a few more words. "Ah," and every ride after. She leaned back, breathing in the desert air. It no longer smelled of endings, but of a new chapter. She whispered to the silent, starry night, knowing she didn't need to be heard to be understood. Home found.